So you were staring at a mountain of debt of $450,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mountain.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You said something really interesting that getting out of your job, losing your job, if you still had your job,
I'd still be in debt.
you'd still be in debt.
Because there's that comfort zone.
All right, everybody. So why you're going to want to watch this today is Chris Schultz has gone from $450,000 in debt down to $90,000 in debt, and she set a goal for herself 3.5 years ago to have it completely wiped out by year 4, and she is going to do it. She's almost there. It's super exciting. She got to share some of her story with us, and we're excited for you guys to hear about that. So typically when I sit down with people to wealth build with them, I say, you got to tell me what to aim for. What are we aiming for here? And yours is you have $90,000 left.
Correct.
3.5 years ago, you joined Keller Williams and you had $450,000 in debt.
Correct.
And today you're at 90.
Correct.
Which is just amazing. Look,
huge.
I just want to take a break from it. That's absolutely amazing. You should be super proud of that. That's awesome. So you've gone from 450 down to 90, and what you would like to get out of this wealth building meeting is just, let's tackle that last 90. Is that correct?
Correct.
Options, plans, ideas in and around?
I don't have any options or plans about that. I just go for the big closings and then pay another chunk.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's totally awesome. And typically in wealth building, what we'll do is we'll take a clarity. We'll have clarity around, let's say, okay, $90,000 we want to eliminate. And then what we do is we dance around it and go, here's an option. Here's option B, here's option C, here's option D, and we just talk about it all around until all of a sudden you're like, that's like your option that you just said was, I just sell a lot big properties and then I take that chunk and boom, I pay down debt with it, right? And then we'll do the same thing. I have a question for you. You seem pretty passionate about eliminating debt. Is that safe to say?
Yep.
Can you tell me why that is?
I just don't like dragging it behind me.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. I would like to be debt-free, completely debt-free from now on.
Okay. Question for you. What does debt-free mean to you? What does that mean?
Debt-free, not having anything sitting out there that, that sits out there. I guess the biggest waste of money for me is when you think about when you have debt and everybody puts interest on top of that debt. Mm-hmm. That's just like wasteful money to me.
Sure.
It's like taking out a loan on a vehicle and you pay that debt.
Yeah.
I don't take out loans. I pay cash.
Nice job.
So that's what I want to do. I want to be able to do this. And I understand that it's probably not the American way to be debt-free.
Yeah.
But I would prefer not to have any bills out there, to keep everything, not get where I was 3 years ago.
You just said something absolutely brilliant that 90% of the world, I don't think, understands when they're trying to build wealth. And that is that when somebody says, I want to be debt-free, to 90% of the world, that still means having a house payment or car payments or, those different pieces. And what you said, which was absolutely brilliant, is that most of the people in and around us don't see it that way. Mm-hmm. The wealthy 1% see it the exact way you just said. Mm-hmm. They see it just that way. I have a love-hate relationship with debt. Anything personal, any personal debt, I absolutely despise. I can't stand it. I don't want it. I don't want to have a car payment. I don't want to have a house payment. I don't want to have student loans. I don't want to have any of those things. So big thing on people's wealth building journey is to eliminate that, just like you're doing. Mm-hmm. Any debt like that. I have a lot of debt on real estate. I'm still okay with that. I'm not even a big fan of that. But anything personally, people should eliminate debt. So I think it's great. Tell me a little bit more about what being debt-free, what would that mean for you? Like, how important would that be?
That would be like 90% on the top of my list. Okay. Just because you don't have, then the rest of the obligations is on me. Then it becomes my responsibility to hold myself to that, if that makes sense.
Hold yourself to what?
Hold myself accountable to staying that way.
Sure.
Like I don't have a mortgage.
Good for you.
My other half has the mortgage, but I don't have the mortgage.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have a car payment. He doesn't have a car payment. Mm-hmm. But it still gives me the opportunity to go out there and do what we want to do, mm-hmm. and not have to worry about where it's not. I don't want to. What's this saying? I don't want to rob from Peter to pay Paul.
Sure.
I want to be able to just pay Paul right out and be done.
Yeah. So when you what does that mean? Like, so imagine you've eliminated this last, because the 90,000 that's left is truly all of your debt, right? No student loans,
Nope.
no credit cards, no car payment,
Nope.
no house payment.
Nope.
Okay, it's just the last 90.
Just the last 90.
Yeah, good for you. Okay, when that's gone, take me to how you're going to feel when that's gone.
Oh, it's going to be a huge relief. I'm going to be able to do more. There's more for me to do with my money. Like I do a lot for breast cancer. I do a lot of things for the military, like the walks and things to raise money for wounded warriors.
Okay.
It gives me more time and more money of my own to be able to donate than
Sure.
having to go out and ask for money.
Sure.
I can do it myself.
Yeah.
I'm a huge supporter of the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
And I do a lot more with that. I can do a lot more for them than what I do now. Because that once I open that all up, I know where my payments come from. I know what I have left. So I'm always going to have that amount of money that I can put back in the bank.
Yeah.
And I can take and put it somewhere else. I might be able to put my grandchildren easily through college. So they don't have that debt that's going to follow them.
Yeah. Once you become debt free, it's going to be a relief for you. You're going to feel. It's going to feel relief. You're going to give a lot more. That's one thing I
Correct.
noticed.
Yeah.
Which is actually what happens to most people. Most people, they can increase their giving. It's the reason that I'm a big fan of being personally debt free, is that your giving typically shoots way up. That's very, very common. And then you said something interesting, that you would have time. You'd have time to donate maybe your time to the Boys and Girls Club, time to be at grandkids' things maybe.
Correct.
You have a little bit of freedom in there.
Yep.
Right? So that's great. Okay. All right, so you know how that feels. You've imagined how that feels, like what that's going to feel like when you're debt-free, and it's going to be a relief, I think you said. You're going to naturally want to give more. What I want you to do is, what I typically ask people to do at this point is just continue to remember that. And I can tell you already have that fire stoked. Like, you can't go from 450 down to 90 without having like a passion and a commitment. And
Right.
You said that a little bit earlier, like that you're not going to go backwards and go back into it.
Right.
That is absolute key, because that's actually the next point. First thing I say is, okay, take me to where you're going to go, which is eliminating the debt. You want to be debt free. It's a relief. You want to give. You want to have time. You want to have freedom. There's freedom in there because you have choices. You have choices. And then you said the commitment. That's usually the next place I already take people, and you're already there. I say, well, okay, how committed are you to actually eliminating that debt? And you have a track record that you're very committed. Whether we had this conversation or not, you were going to eliminate it.
Yeah, it's going to be gone by the end of the year no matter what.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's totally great. All right, so you've actually already checked the box. Usually I spend time on commitment, and I make people really spend time going, what's more important, putting your grandkid through college or buying your next pair of shoes or your next vehicle or your next whatever your want is. And I try to take people and go, okay, here's how you're telling me it's going to feel on this side, and then here's choices you're making daily that are taking away from this so that you can have these things.
Right.
And your commitment is all the way over on this side. Your commitment's already there for these things. So we're going to skip over that, but I don't want to brush over, because that's usually the next place I take people is, how committed are you to actually making that work and happen? So I think that's amazing. That's absolutely great. Okay, so the next thing is, now I know where you want to go. I need you to tell me right where you are. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So what I do is rough idea of net worth, or what I do is I ask people, okay, roughly how much cash do you have?
Does that include my bank accounts too, or just cash?
Just cash. So what I do is I go, tell me your assets. Okay. So give me the liquid cash that you have like available for.
I have 30,000.
Okay, so for investing, so you have 30,000 in the bank, in cash.
No, I have $30. I have 30,000 cash, not in the bank.
Oh, you don't have to give. Okay, you're so funny. Oh my gosh.
Well,
that's hilarious.
You said cash, and that's cash. I don't think the bank is cash.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's interesting. That's super
I have
interesting.
90,000 in the bank.
Good for you. Another high five. Awkward high five.
I could.
Nice.
I could get rid of the debt,
No,
but I
just go.
can't.
Okay.
Because then you don't work for it.
There you go.
See what I
Cool.
mean?
Cool. All right, cool. So, so when I say cash, no, that's awesome. I love the way you think. It's amazing. It's great. Okay, so we got 90,000 in cash. Tell me about retirement accounts or anything that's like not liquid. Do you have any of those?
I don't.
Okay. Any rentals?
I don't.
Okay. Any insurance policies that have value? Anything?
I don't.
Okay, so you basically have cash. That's your asset base.
That is my asset base.
Okay, great. Now tell me about your home. You paid your home off, or your side of the home off?
I paid my half of the home off, yes.
Okay, all right. And roughly the value of your half?
162,000.
162,000. This is like simple. Usually it takes me a long time to like student loans, credit card debt, different pieces like that. But this is actually, you can tell you've gone on this journey. You've made a commitment to this journey just by kind of how things are set up. And then you have what I'll call some petty cash. You have some cash at your house for just for miscellaneous, but we won't worry about that. Now let's talk.
Backyard, dug in a hole.
It's in your backyard. Well, this airs. Everybody's gonna be coming over.
Please, because I got weeds.
There you go. That's all right. Make them pull some weeds. This is the world's easiest personal financial statement. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but what I'm doing is I'm saying, show me your assets, show me the debt, and then down here is how you calculate your net worth. What you're gonna need to do is, if you have student loan debt, is you're gonna have to fill that in here. If you have credit card debt, you're going to have to fill that in here. If you have rental debt, you're going to have to fill that in here. And we separate them into these two categories here. And to come up with your net worth, you simply take your assets and then you subtract your debt, which is hers is super easy. Her physical net worth is 162,000 right now. Does that make sense how I came up with that? Mm-hmm. Have you filled out a personal financial statement before? Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. So it should look something like this,
right,
based on your entire scenario.
I did forget something, though.
Okay, go ahead.
I do have another home.
That's okay,
but
cool.
It's not a rental. We're in the process of selling it, but...
Okay, let's talk about that. So we have to make a quick adjustment because she has another asset. Is there any debt on that
yes.
one? Okay, so let's talk. So those two have to go in here as well. Okay, so second home.
The debt left on the second home is 101,000.
That's the debt. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what's the value of that?
235.
235. Great. If you sold that home, you would sell it for 235. That's how much you would net on it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And then the full loan is 100. Okay.
Yep.
That's close enough.
Okay.
We'll be close enough.
Okay.
The point of a net worth statement like this is to say, if I had to sell everything today, what would be the value of it? Okay. For the simplicity's sake of this, we're just going to do cash in your real estate. So we take that 487 now, and then we minus the 90,000 in debt, and we minus the 101. We're at 296. So 296,000 is your net worth at this given moment right now. And the reason that this number is so important is because you have options with that. That's what's called equity. So that you have your physical cash, and then you have your equity in just your personal financial situation. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this 297 right here, and we're going to say, okay, what's the highest and best use for it, and can we use it to accomplish this? To accomplish that removing of the 90,000, right? So that's where you sit today, and I think it's actually more than that, just be based on what you've told me with personal things and things like that. But let's use the 296. All right. So what is your goal for eliminating the 90,000? End of the year? Is that what you said?
Yeah, by the end of the year.
Okay. How are you doing on that?
On track.
You're on track?
Yeah.
Sure. Do you have any big closings coming up that you're going to pile towards it, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much what it is each closing. So out of each closing I have a special little savings account that I put so much money into.
Okay.
And then, not that the bank likes that, but that's how I do it. And then I take that savings account, and then I can go in there and I can have them take the money out to go where I disperse it. So if I have, let's say I have an $8,000 commission.
Okay.
Okay. So I divide that money into 4 different accounts. If
Cool.
that makes
I
any
want
sense.
to write this down. No, because I think you're doing exactly what I hope a lot of people do.
I have 4 accounts. So I have one savings account that is just for my grandchildren.
Okay.
Okay. So a quarter of that goes into there.
25%?
25% goes into that.
Okay.
And then I have another account that is for my business.
Okay.
And I have a allotted amount that goes in there normally, and that's normally like $1,500.
Typically
that
$1,500.
I put in there.
Okay.
And then the other money, then I take half of what's left and put that into this other smaller savings account that's for my bills. And then the remainder of it goes into my personal.
Tell me more about number 3. Half of what is left goes to, you said, your bills.
Yeah. So I have 4 accounts.
Yeah.
So I have a personal.
Yeah.
I have a business.
Yeah.
I have my grandchildren's.
Yeah.
And then I have this other account that is just that I dump money into
Sure.
to pay off my debt.
Is that number 3? Is that what this is?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So this goes towards debt.
Yep.
Nice.
And then the rest just goes into the personal.
Okay.
So, but if I get a big one, then I kind of can switch it up a little bit.
Yep.
I try not to because I think things through a little different.
Okay.
So I could pay off my debt right now, and I know I could.
Yeah.
But then what do I got to work for?
You're using it to
Right?
push you.
Yeah, that's my motivation.
Yeah.
So now everyone says to me, what happens when you pay that off?
Yeah.
Then what are you going to do?
Yeah. Where's your head at with
Are you
that?
going to have to find another debt? Like, I don't know. I haven't got that far yet.
Sure. Great. So here's the thing is that I actually believe wholeheartedly June or July, you're going to be done with that 90,000, maybe by the end of the year, right? But the way that you're talking, in your wealth building journey, that's going to happen. And I want to talk a little bit about debt right here because what I've seen happen in the past, and it kind of alluded to what you were saying, was when you are in debt a lot and you've been in debt a while. How long have you been in debt, would you say?
Probably my biggest debt came, everything is, I've been in debt for probably about 11 years.
11 years. Okay. So when you're in debt for 11 years, I want you to be aware of something because they, kind of like what your friend said, debt is like a prison. And what a lot of people don't realize is that when someone gets out of jail and they've been in jail for 11 years, the very next thing they typically do is they go break the law. And why do you think they would do that?
Because they don't know how to do it outside, yeah.
Yeah. So I want you to be on super high alert at this point.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
I don't have a credit card.
Okay.
I do not.
Okay.
I have a bank card.
Okay.
And I have a limit on my bank card.
Okay. That's all right. That's
And
good.
I have a monthly limit on my bank card. So if I do that, if I break that limit in one weekend shopping, I have no more limit.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like stuck. So I've kind of like set my own self up so I don't set myself up for failure, if that makes
I
sense.
want to give you another high five. Nice job. You know what so what you're doing is you're putting safeguards in place to avoid this.
So the only one I can't put in place
Yeah.
and how this debt came
Yep.
is medical.
Okay.
That's the only safeguard you can. And I mean, I do have health insurance. That's a safeguard.
Yep.
But with the if it turns into be worse than, like, this is nothing, but if it turns out to be worse, like how it put me into debt,
Sure.
I could easily slide back in.
Sure.
We hope not, but you could easily slide back in.
Okay. So
That would be the only way I could see myself going back into debt, is something seriously going wrong again with my health.
correct me if I'm wrong, but most insurance policies have an out-of-pocket maximum. Okay.
They do. I have an 8,000 out of pocket.
Okay.
Okay. But my insurance runs different than most other people.
Okay.
When they say that pre-existing doesn't matter,
Okay.
it kind of does in my case,
Okay.
because I have a form of blood cancer
Okay.
that will never ever go away.
Okay.
So I have restrictions.
Have you ever looked into like Christian healthcare ministries or anything like that? Have you ever heard of those? Okay. So my dad was in an accident. He's a farmer, and I can laugh now because he's okay. But one of his cows attacked him. He's better now, but it almost killed him. So it was a very big deal at the time. So during Christmas, we'll stick our head around the corner and we'll go moo, just to see if he jumps up and runs. But he had a Christian healthcare ministry, and they covered all his bills. We covered all of it. It's not insurance, but there's one option that we could look into, and we'll do more with that. So the next stage in your journey, let's say step 1 is remove the debt. Step 2 is fund your medical exposure, right? Protect that. And then step 3 is physically building wealth with what's left. That's where it gets really fun. Like that's where it'll get you to that freedom and that time that you want, where you can give and have that freedom. All right, so you're thinking Airbnb.
Yes.
Okay. And tell me more about that. You want to buy condos?
Oh, condos, yeah, we've been looking into the condos, but the more you look into condos, I might be better off with a smaller house.
Sure.
You know, I mean, just depends on where I'm going to go. So if I want to buy one in Colorado, it'll be a house. It wouldn't be a condo.
Okay.
If I was going to buy down in Florida, then it would be a condo. If I buy in Costa Rica, it's going to be a condo.
I think I'm starting to get an idea how your brain works a little bit. Which one do you want to buy the most?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. See how quickly you came up with that? Like, that was all loaded. This is where I'm going. All right, Costa Rica. All right, what's going to happen when you own a condo in Costa Rica?
Well, then that'll become my go-to place.
Okay.
Like, we like to vacation there. We love Costa Rica. So we would like to be there at least 3 times. Then we can Airbnb it out afterwards.
Sure. How can you do this? How can you buy this condo and it be a good wealth play for you?
That one I haven't figured out yet.
Sure.
I don't know.
That's okay.
Because we haven't really investigated what they get for down there.
Sure. Sure.
Our goal is to go down there next December
Okay.
and figure it out.
Okay.
That was my goal. Like, I have a plan in my head.
Yeah, I
like
can see that.
I'd
That's
like to
great.
go there in December, figure it all out.
Yep.
And then by come January,
Yep.
know
Yep.
if that is going to be the goal or not. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the top. It's what I want.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean that it's actually what I'm going to get. If it doesn't work out and there's no money there and there's no way to, because there's a lot of things that come into play with that.
Yeah.
If you're going to lose money, I'm not spending my money.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying this conversation because you have traits that that's kind of hard to teach, so to speak. You can teach people to have them. What you just said was that I believe my next goal is Costa Rica. I'm going to fully jump in there next December and fully commit to doing something I've never done before, and I'm going to figure it out. And my goal at that point might change. Right? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it can easily change if it's not. Yeah, I'm not going to waste my money.
That's because that is so smart. Because what you're doing is you're saying, this is where I think I'm going, but when I fully commit and I show up there with my money and my decision that I'd want to own something there, it might pivot to being Colorado at that point. But I'm not making a decision until I fully committed to that piece.
Yep.
Okay, now let's talk about how can we make this. I see a lot of people want things, right? You want a condo in Costa Rica or a house or whatever.
I don't have to have it.
Yeah.
I would like.
There you go. Yes. So you would like this. How can you get what you like and make sure we don't go backwards financially or in wealth building?
If I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this how I bought my house.
Okay, tell me about that.
I have to have this money here,
Okay.
and I better be able to write that check out. I don't want to have a mortgage.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I don't want to go into debt with it. So if you can, so the very first house I ever bought, I bought on land contract from a very dear friend.
Sure.
Because I was a single mom. I didn't have, so he was good enough to purchase the house for me and sell it to me on a land contract.
Sure.
Which I paid off in 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's kind of goes forward that way.
Yeah.
Am I going to find a land contract out there? Probably not, but I know things are different out there where you don't really own everything out there all the time.
Okay.
The government owns too.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
You're gonna have to figure that.
We
piece
have to
out
figure
when you
that
get
out. That's one big piece that needs to be figured out.
Sure.
But yeah, it's gonna have to be cash.
Okay.
I won't pull a mortgage.
Sure.
That's too risky
Good
for
for
me.
you.
If I can't, I guess we're farmers.
Yeah.
We're old farmers,
Yeah.
old school, and we were always taught that if you can't pay cash for it, it's not yours,
Good job.
and you shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how I live my life.
Yeah.
If you can't write the check out or you don't have the cash in the bank, don't do it.
Yeah. Good for you. All right, so let's fast forward. Let's imagine it's next December. You have the cash. Let's say, how much do you think we would need?
For what I've been watching, we're probably going to need about $325,000.
$325,000? Okay. So you have $325,000. Okay, it's next December. You have that in cash. How are you going to know? How are you going to use that to build wealth? You're going to get what you want. You're going to be there 3 times a year. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But then how do you know whether or not that you're going to go backwards financially or forward with wealth?
Well, I'm going to have to figure out how much everyone gets, and that's one of the big reasons to go down there,
Uh-huh.
to figure out what other people are getting for their Airbnbs.
Sure.
Right now, there's very few Airbnbs down there.
Okay.
So that's why I'm thinking there could be money there.
Yeah.
Compared to what you pay for a resort when you go down there, it's almost $5,000. It might not be inclusive.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
cares?
Sure.
If you can save, but you have to be. I have to figure out how much I can charge for that Airbnb,
Mm-hmm.
and then what my cost is going to be out of that, because you're going to have someone clean it.
Yep.
You're going to have to someone take care of it for you, take care of the grounds.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't know. I'd have to figure that all out.
Yep.
And if I'm going to start sticking money into it instead of making money,
Yep.
then it's not a good decision.
There you go. Let's simplify this a little bit so it's easier for people to follow us. We're gonna go to. We're just gonna say you're gonna find something, and you're gonna buy it for $300,000. This is on wealth building, right?
Yep.
And then what we're gonna say is that you're gonna collect all Airbnb your net profit. Okay, your net profit after you've paid the house cleaner, you've paid your water bills, you've paid whatever bills that are there that you still have to figure out.
Right.
We're gonna say that you bring in $30,000 a year. Okay. So you're gonna bring in $30,000 a year. Building wealth, you guys. Plus, she gets to own it during that whole time. On her $300,000 investment, she's going to get a 10% return. How do you feel about that?
See, I don't think that's good enough.
My favorite person. Yes, that's awesome. That is so awesome.
That's not worth my money.
Okay, there you go. And why would you say that? What makes you say that?
Because even when I sell a property to my flippers,
Yep.
they can't make 10%. It's just a joke. You
they're
better be
having
able
trouble.
to pull out at least 70, or you should just walk away from it.
Okay, so you're saying you want 20% at least return on your money.
No, I want a little bit more than that.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, I would think for being out there and doing what I'm doing. Now, if you're in Florida or something, that's totally different. But I would think you could. I would think 30%.
30%?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, you guys, what she's doing is she's holding her money accountable. This is a huge part of wealth building. You're going to say, I'm going to invest $300,000, and I want it to return to me. I'm going to send it out to go to work. Plus, I'm going to get all the benefits of being there 3-4 times a year. But I'm going to send it out to go to work for me, right? Mm-hmm. And I expect it to come back to me at a minimum of 30%. Let's say 33%. So in 3 years, you're going to have all your $300,000 back, right?
Yep.
Plus, in cash, you'll have all that back. Mm-hmm. Plus, you're going to have this asset that in 3 years are probably worth, let's say, $350. Mm-hmm. So just this one property, if you can spend $300,000, get a 33% return on it, in 3 years, that's $1 million play, a little under $1 million play, because you're going to have an asset that's worth $350. Plus, you're going to have gotten your $300 back. So you're going to be into it for $650,000 total net worth gain by doing this really, really wise.
Yep.
Here's another thing that she can do. She can spend $300,000 on a property that's worth $400,000. And you instantly get a shot in the arm of equity of $100,000. You sell them to your flippers all the time, right?
That's the goal.
So let's run that. So let's run that scenario. You're going to spend, do you believe that something like that's possible? Let me first ask you that, because I always ask people.
I think it is.
Absolutely. I think we do it all the time.
I mean, we've been out their way, and we've been there on vacation, and yeah, I think it's possible.
So here's your condo. It's valued at $400,000. You buy it for $300,000. So that's the cash out. That's your cash that comes out of your pocket to buy it. You instantly have $100,000 in equity, which is a 30% return. Little, you know what I mean? So you instantly have that. So you only need 2 years worth of $90,000 in income, and you're at your 33% return. Your wealth building journey is actually very, very simple. Typically, you have to do a lot more damage control, and not in a negative sense, but just like understanding how much credit card debt people have, understanding how much student loans debt they have. You have been very, very aggressive in terms of setting yourself up personally. I always, in my wealth building talks with people, I always want them to be set up personally first. This is hard for some people to understand, but I even tell them that husband and wife should set themselves up financially better before they even talk about their kids. Goes against our grain as parents. We're like, what do you mean I have to take care of mom and dad before I take care of the kids? No, you take care of the kids is what a lot of times what we think. Instinctually, it's like we're fighting a natural urge, but at home, We have to get our finances, when we're taken care of really, really well, we can then give what you had mentioned to our children in a way that we never would have been if we gave to them sooner.
Yep.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know your financial brain. You have it together. You have it together. I'm so glad that you came in. I'm so glad that you won. I mean, to sit down. This was, I literally just got to download your brain, and you already kind of had all this worked out. There was very little that we could help with. This is great. I have 100% confidence rating in you.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. But sitting down with you too kind of helps me and my brain to think that I am doing this right.
Oh, you're spot on.
Because you're kind of like people always second guess. Everyone second guesses themselves. You know, it's like, am I doing this right? Am I weird? Am I different? Yeah. Am I really thinking this the right way?
Yeah, you absolutely
So me sitting here with you and you saying, yes, this is spot on, that helps me say, okay, it is okay in your head.
I'm validating what you're doing. If anything, you need to tell more people what you're doing.